I just find tremendous satisfaction in building something. Being able to shape wood, being able to bring out the finish in wood, the depth of wood is fantastic. I'm Keith Scribner. I'm a professor in the School of Writing, Literature and Film at Oregon State University. We have a MFA program here, Master of Fine Arts program. I teach in that program, and I also teach undergrad creative writing classes, and I teach classes in literature, mostly American literature. I had to support myself somehow, and I worked for a carpenter and a builder in Boston. And pretty quickly I learned, I became pretty competent, and soon I was working on my own, doing small additions, remodels in houses, building decks and porches. It's just a great way for a writer to make a living, because if you're working on your own, and you have to get a certain level of skill to do that, but if you're working on your own, you can start picking your hours, unlike a lot of jobs that beginning writers have. And that's how I made my living until things started going better with writing, and then ultimately teaching at Stanford and then Oregon State. A lot of young writers, I think, don't understand the physical discipline required in writing. I wouldn't compare them and say, oh, to write for 8 hours is as hard on the body as to build a house for 8 hours. I think that's not true. But there's an intense physical, as well, of course, as mental, emotional commitment, but an intense physical commitment that goes into it. When you're building a two-story house or a two-story addition, when something is just a teeny bit out of level on the foundation level, by the time you get up to the roof, you're inches out. You're way too far out. That's a really similar parallel, I think, with writing, that every piece of, whether it's a story or a poem or a novel or an essay, every piece of it has to be right and intentional and just as it should be in order to achieve balance and unity in the rest of the piece. Old Newgate Road is the story of a man who returns to his hometown for the first time in 30 years and to the house where tragedy shattered his family when he was a boy. What he finds when he gets there is the last thing he expects. The house, an old colonial, is still in the same half-restored state it was all those years ago, and his father, out of prison, has moved back in. I'm hoping there's a real mingling of past and present in the novel in a way that allows readers insight into how the past is so alive and kind of urgently alive in their present. As a creative writer, I'm lucky. I basically get to teach my favorite stories and novels. Most of my courses are structured around things that I love. To read Raymond Carver's Cathedral for the 120th time and talk about it with students, that story is fresh and new and surprising to me every time. Nabokov has a famous quote that fiction should take us to a place where art, which he defines as curiosity, kindness, tenderness, and ecstasy, is the norm. And by being lucky enough to be someone who spends part of my life trying to create my own art, and another part of my life trying to teach students the beauty and value of art, I spend a lot of time in that state of curiosity, kindness, tenderness, and ecstasy. And that's fantastic.